Alright, hello party people. I'm gonna read to you a poem that I wrote a couple of years ago, right before I started my sojourn into the highlands of the mind and also, like, hell. I guess the underworld, more like. And it's a long form poem that draws on Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian imagery and cultural context and weaves it together using the Tantra, specifically kind of like Kala Chakra, Samvara, kind of yogini type Tantras, and the methods of internal alchemy that are included in there, and uses that as kind of the thread, like Tantra's is, to weave a story about the hero's journey, alchemy, and something I ultimately call the joyous reunion of Inanna and Dumuzid. And that would kind of be standing in for the ultimate culmination of yogic, the yogic attainment, more or less. So yeah, it's got 13 sections. It's called Nammu's Mirror. Nammu being the name in Sumerian for the primeval water goddess of the saltwater, Tiamat, who's famous in the Babylonian account for her battle with Marduk. And the magical operation that I engaged in over a period of about 2 years was called the Apology of Marduk, which was basically trying to embody Marduk and say sorry to Tiamat for doing all that shit, because it should never have gone down that way. Again, this is part of the whole, like, the future is female thing, but nobody knows Apsaras and, the real divine feminine like I do. I'm telling you guys. Like, until you have done the whole Dakini trip, like Talopa style, danced with the fates, and, maybe finger banged a female Yeti. I mean, I can't say for sure that happened, but, word on the street is it might have. So, here we go. Nammu's Mirror. 1. Fire in the Field. Girtabilu firmly grasps the softly sounding bell. In Enlil's field, Pazuzu rushing rises from his well. He comes alive, flaps and flies, and Gibble starts to swell. The Red Sea boils and Kingu dies. Tiamat tastes his blood and cries. Raging rise casts the sea aside. She sets alight the land of night. She throws the queen of death to flight. Desperate Aresh Kigal must call on all of Nergal's might. 2. A Shepherd in the Desert. Girtabilu sets to fight, his stinger nearing Utu's keep. She rears in fear and wraps her legs round shining Nana's feet. From fangy form comes Ishkur's horns and storms that spell defeat. Utu cuts the web she wove and shows the light of An, freeing Enki's single thread. For sweet Inanna's hand, Dumuzid gives the best he has. The shepherd roams the land. 3. The Lover Lives. The thread lands in Inanna's hands, and she knows Dumuzid's fate. She takes the thread to Enki's house, where the Lord of Wisdom waits. The joyous Lord and Ninhursag and join in their embrace. They both partake while Inanna waits before Old Lady's lake. The serpent sires rising to the Lord of Wisdom's face. They open the gates of Inanna's place and unseal Enki's fate. When the winds come in, Utu wakes and wouldn't rise without them. He descends and stands shining on the summit of the mountain. His justice stills the deep and his power calms the fountain. 4. Anticipation and Despair. In Utu's light, Dumuzid sees the open gates of 8. He rushes there where he believes that sweet Inanna waits. When he arrives to empty home, he sees great Utu's light. He follows there and learns Inanna waits by Ninti's might. By Nammu's shores, Utu's warmth makes sweet Inanna rise. In Kingu's blood she flies to meet her love in moonlit night. No lover there, and in despair she turns toward the field of life. Dumuzid too flies to the end of lordly Enlil's run. Inanna gone and wandered on, he looks to death beyond the sun. 5. The joyous reunion. Lovers' hearts rise to joy when they see each other's face. Finding eyes they recognize, in that instant they embrace. The Lord and Lady reunite in the palace of 8 gates. 6. Nammu's silver screen. In joyful and reposed delight, the Lord and Lady gaze upon the face of Nammu's deep in blessed Utu's rays. There they see both Ananke and Adapa walk their ways. In delight they watch Adapa's play on Nammu's mirrored deep. Under An and upon Ki he builds the Lord of Wisdom's keep. The image of the Lord comes forth and cultivates Adapa's seed. He points his gaze to Nammu's face and sees arrayed the sons of An. Adapa builds their temple houses mirrored there upon the land. Reflections of the sons of An appear to hold him by the hand. 7. The flood of sleep. As Lord and Lady start to tire, the waters slowly risen. Artful Enki, Lord of Wisdom, begins instructing Utnapishtim. He builds the ark of life, so he may start anew the lovely vision. Lord and Lady both are pleased and fall into a reverie. The images of Ananke dissolve again into the deep. 8. The next world. As Lord and Lady start to wake, they contemplate a dream they shared. Again their gaze falls upon the water's waiting mirror where a living ark has come to rest in lordly Enki's loving care. Ananke come to be, and Utnapishtim sows. From the good world's fruit he builds the house of those above below. 9. The hero comes. The lords and ladies come again, and lovely music sounds. Thus arrayed, the land conveys the glorious from fertile ground. He kills the bull of heaven and throws Anzu from its tower. The might of Uruk makes the great Huawa meekly cower. The prizes of both gods and men must fall before the 8 gates' power. 10. King of Nothing. His brother's plight won't match his own. Spurn friendship, love, and castle home. Venture to the land of death, to know the gods in flesh and bone, to learn and mourn this mortal form, and feel himself alone. 11. Pointing out the obvious. Inanna whispers in his ear, and the hero's smile creeps. He turns his gaze at last to see the face of Nammu's deep. Reflected there are Lord and Lady in the palace of perfection. In their eyes, this very son will recognize his own reflection. 12. Retiring. Watching the waters, Lord and Lady laugh at all the play. They fall to sleep to rise again and watch another day. Their images and Nammu fade. The hero turns and walks away. Far afield, he hears his father's goats with young Dumuzid. The clanging bells make Girtabilu want to join the music. 13. Returning. An and Ki both come to be on Nammu's water wheel. In Nana's desert, moonlit land, the sounding bell rings